Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And we're all done, right? Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you guys buy it. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, I'm a little bit late, but we've got some producer price inflation numbers coming up. Pretty important. I think that we kind of ignore that one, but last time around it was really instrumental, and I think in this particular situation it could be more important than usual because there was a lot of clamor yesterday that I got the right screen up, right? Yeah. Okay. All of the analysts and the banks and everything were saying, this might have been peak inflation. And I'm concerned that maybe the PPI comes out and kind of pokes a big hole in that theory. So we'll see. I'm not planning on taking any big trades off of it. We did pretty good yesterday. Let's see here. Let's come in. I feel a little bit off. So we're looking for a core PPI month over month to be spot 5. And if we just come over here really quick, look at the charts. We got S&P 500 trying to make a rally overnight, but getting slammed back down. And the treasuries holding their gains from yesterday largely, at least in the 10-year, not so much in the 30-year. Oil's still kind of on the rise. Gold and silver forming a pretty solid uptrend there. So that's nice. And Bitcoin looks like they're still struggling, and the dollar is even higher, above 100. So interesting setup we've got here today, I think. And they're being a little, maybe they're a little smarter here. I don't think I can trade that. Like, this just, the other day I got lucky that there was an order sitting out there. Right? Morning, Octavius. How's it going? I don't know. You know what? I just didn't sleep very well. So you can notice whenever okay, so that doesn't look good. Okay, so geez Louise. I don't know if I can hit those prices, but these are bad numbers. Course PPI 1% versus 0.5%. Okay, so I think that what we should do in this situation, since I don't feel very good about the liquidity in the micros and the prices that I'm being offered right now, and I'm also really unsure about how they moved, because I think this number initially looks bad, really bad, but there's actually not as much volume here off of it as I would expect. So let's come in and read the release and try and sort out where it's all coming from. In March, the rise in the index for final demand was led by a 2.3% advance in prices for final demand goods. The index for final demand services increased 0.9%. The prices for final demand last foods and energy and trade moved up 0.9% in March, the largest advance since rising 1% in January. For the 12 months ended in March, the index for final demand less foods, energy, and trade services increased 7%. Product detail. The leading the March increase for the index for final goods, diesel fuel prices jumped 20.4%. The indexes for gasoline, fresh and dry vegetables, jet fuel, iron, and steel scrap, and electric power also moved higher. In contrast, prices for beef and veal fell 7.3%. The indexes for natural gas and for cold-rolled steel sheet and strip also declined. A final demand services Product detail, a 22.7% jump in margins for fuels and lubricants. Oh my gosh, I guess it's yeah. Oh, why is my nose so itchy? Good freaking grief. Oh, I didn't even have the right screen up this whole time, guys. I'm sorry. You missed that all that order flow. Look, they're actually gonna move higher here. I don't know about this, guys. I don't know. I'm not. This is a little odd. Okay, indexes for truck transportation of freight, traveler accommodation services, airline passenger services, inpatient care, and hardware, building materials, and supplies retailing also increased. Conversely, the prices for securities, brokerage, dealing, and investment advice increased 5.4%. Hey, that's where I gotta go. Investment advice. Indexes for portfolio management and for automobile retailing also moved lower. Really see the biggest change in energy. It kind of sounds like it's just like the energy is just increasing the prices for everything, but where is the biggest change? Where did they get it wrong? Because 1% versus 0.5% is pretty big gap, right? New Squawk has a funny meme about it. I am not sure what to make of that market reaction. And because I need to blow my nose. Like that they've moved so hard the other way in the treasuries is very peculiar to me. Because when I first saw that number, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna return back to where we were like last Friday. Well, where we were Monday, frankly. But no, like they like straight up reversed. So should I be going with it and saying now they are gonna sell here in the end? I think that that might be a trade that makes sense, but since the flow is not really in line with my expectations, I think that I kind of need to not take a trade. Oh, you know what? That's a good thing. Good point. We have JP Morgan earnings. Okay, earnings $2.63 a share. Not clear if comparable to the 2.69 estimate. Saw significant geopolitical and economic challenges ahead due to high inflation, supply chain issues, and the war in Ukraine. Revenue fell a modest 5% to $31.59 billion, exceeding analysts' estimate for the quarter. Shares of the bank dipped 3.4% in pre-market trading. JP Morgan says it took a $902 million charge for building credit reserves for anticipated loan losses and booked a $524 million in losses driven by markdowns and widening spreads after Russia's invasion of its neighbor. Combined, the two factors sat 36 cents from the quarter's earnings, the bank said. CEO Jamie Dimon struck a note of caution in his remarks, saying that he built up credit reserves because of higher probabilities of downside risk in the U.S. economy, specifically from the impact of high inflation and the Ukraine conflict. We remain optimistic on the recovery, at least for the short term. Consumer and business balance sheets, as well as consumer spending, remain at healthy levels. But we see significant geopolitical and economic challenges ahead due to high inflation, supply chain issues, and the war in Ukraine. Mm, mm, mm. So it could be here that the market is more concerned about JP Morgan. I don't know. I kind of feel like I didn't really trade it too aggressively, and so they don't want to. It's like, yeah, watching me, but that seems kind of silly. But it's really weird to me that I felt like not trading it, and I would have thought that a lot of people would have been sitting there waiting on the trigger. I don't understand much of the complexities of Bitcoin, but I have noticed that most of its supporters usually use an ideological argument. No one uses ideological arguments for real estate or other industries. This being retweeted by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He's right. Well, when we talk about it, we talk about the coin itself, but the market ear tweets, is Bitcoin trying to tell us something? Pointing out that, oh, that's a really interesting chart. Pointing out that they've followed the NASDAQ futures quite well, but there has been a gap recently. There was a little bit of a gap on the way up, and now there is an even more clear gap here on the way down. And the treasuries bust highs. Jeffrey Gunlock, yield curve has been steepening a whole lot lately, testing the Federal Reserve's stated resolve to absolutely use our tools to fight the inflation the Fed itself failed to predict. Yep. The cost of living is up over 8% in the last year, but that's only if you're using dollars. For those of you using and saving in Bitcoin, inflation is closer to 33% over that time frame because Bitcoin is down 20%. That's hilarious. I don't think that everybody that reads that will get it initially. Oh, did they say something? Did Wikipedia say something that Bitcoin doesn't like? I'm reading some tweets about that too. I am a little bit flabbergasted by this move here. I do not want to participate. Why does the bond market like that? The S&P 500 is moving up a little bit too, but I'd still say that's tepid. I am seeing a corresponding move in the Japanese yen and in the dollar as well here. So perhaps it is more currency related. Oh, I didn't even mention, but this story that we saw come through on the stream yesterday about an attack in the subway. The authorities have say that it was not terrorist motivated. attack, but the killer is still at large. So there's a pretty big manhunt for this guy, but they know who he is, apparently. And he's really short. So that's kind of weird. I don't know. But yeah, that's what happened. Man, I can't believe. So 120.16 was basically yesterday's prices, right? Yeah. 16 was like the higher. So yesterday, I didn't even say yesterday I held. They knew who he was before he did it. You think so? Could be. Given the whole thing, you would kind of have to think that authorities maybe knew that he was on the edge, huh? Anyways, yesterday, I took that trade and I held it all the way through this session. And when I took it off before Lael Brainerd spoke, I could have gotten like maybe 20 more bucks out of it, but I still got pretty good. He has a YouTube channel and everything? What? For real? What was he saying? One of those black Hebrew Israelites. I'm not familiar with that. Are those extremists? Doesn't that how does that not count as a terrorist attack then? It's just a domestic terrorism, right? Yeah, I see that big order there at 113.24 a quarter in ZF. Something's going on here that I don't understand for sure in the treasury market, because this is very, very interesting. Wow, okay. Well, there's, I haven't visited Zero Hedge yet since usually when I wake up in the morning, they don't have news stories. Like they don't wake up early enough. Whoever runs that website doesn't wake up early enough. But now that we're coming in here, see, their headline on PPI is producer prices soar at record price. Pipeline suggests peak inflation is far off. People's Bank of China pre-announces more easing measures as Xi pledges lockdowns will continue until COVID is defeated. Yep. I've seen a bunch of people pointing this out. I think most prominently Lloyd Blankfein, which, by the way, he doesn't tweet very often, but I enjoy his tweets. Lloyd, if you're out there, I enjoy your tweets. You should talk more. I was thinking the other day, like, some people have the opportunity to really make an impact on the world, and I might not like your vision of the world and where it goes, but I still think that they have an obligation to try and make their impact on the world if they have that opportunity. Just be really careful, because you don't know everything. Oh yeah, I want to open this up. JP Morgan. Anyways, he was saying that what we're finding is that in both the case with the lockdowns in China, which are just absolutely crazy, and the war in Ukraine, which is absolutely crazy, when a dictator makes a decision, it's very, very difficult for them to back down from that decision. And this is a big advantage to a democracy. YouTube him sometime kind of funny group. I'm not familiar with them. I'm just reading this story that I'm seeing here on Zero Hedge about him. Kind of sounds like something I should be careful about reading on YouTube. Yeah. Like, law enforcement is facing up to the realization that the subject, as is tragically common in mass shootings and other incidents of extreme violence, had previously set off flags that probably should have warranted a closer look. Frank James had been investigated and cleared by the FBI in 2019. So when they looked his name up, well, he's been publishing bizarre hate-filled rants on YouTube, praising other mass shooters and calling on people to kill Whitey. And YouTube didn't take them down? What the hell? Amazingly, YouTube... Wait. Is it still there? Oh my gosh. You've got... Are you this for real, dude? What the... Like, I hope that this really raises some serious questions about how social media websites are moderating their content, because there's been so much stupid stuff taken off of YouTube and other social media websites that I really don't think should be taken down necessarily. Like, if you disagree with a dominant narrative, I don't think that necessarily says that you should be taken down. I've had my channel, we got shadow banned for a while. Like, our stream didn't show up until like a week or two later because it had been reported, right? But then there's this guy on YouTube just like straight up spouting... Well, listen, it's not a very popular channel. He only has 631 subscribers. Well, okay. I mean, maybe he just didn't pop up on the radar, but like, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, you can call for killings of white people on YouTube. I was just like, what? And the video, I don't know what videos they're talking about, but like, I mean, these are videos from well over a year ago, right? Yeah, this guy is scary looking too. When the president was canceled from social... Well, I think that a lot of people did, but what are you supposed to do? Like, see that this is the thing that I think bothers me the most, is that if you get banned from some of these social media websites, like, that's it. So I give you an example. There is a YouTube streamer who is, I would say he's slightly on the more conservative side, but he was one of the few people on Twitch that was kind of talking about political content, and it was Destiny, right? And he just all of a sudden one day got banned. And when they ban him, they don't even state in the email that is sent to him why he's banned, right? And there's like literally nothing you can do. So like, you can come on YouTube, go do YouTube full time, right? And you could make one misstep, not even know what you're doing wrong, and have your channel canceled, right? There's no recourse or anything. I think that Facebook is doing the right thing, because they created like a board of sorts to review decisions. Like, you can appeal decisions, and under certain circumstances they can get appealed up to the top, and then they can make decisions based off of what YouTube's code of conduct is as to whether or not it actually, is basically like a court of law for social media. I think that that's a great idea, Anyways, so like, when the president was banned from Twitter, people should have spoken up. Well, I mean, a lot of people saw it and said stuff about it, but what else are they supposed to do? What else can you do? There's nothing you can do, because these companies are basically exempt from any kind of accountability, right? With the way that that's been done, there's no way to hold them accountable. You think you can have a look at some code? Yeah, for sure. I have an indicator. It draws lines on the chart, but some of the lines cut off on the horizontal scale. Oh, that sounds interesting. Would like to see. Google has an appeals process as well. For what though? Not for YouTube. I don't think for YouTube. But like this is another thing that really bothers me is that the moderation of these. So first of all, you have these companies that have like this insane massive amounts of power and everything, and they have a really strict system where it's like you can just get banned for they feel like it, and it can happen out of nowhere and they don't have to tell you why. So if you're charged of a crime in the US, they have to tell you what you've been accused of, right? Essentially, all of the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution do not apply to social media websites because they're private companies. And I think that maybe needs to change because we spend so much of our lives online. I don't think that because it's a private company providing the service. I just don't feel that that is a valid excuse. I think that we can't privatize the world and then say, well, rights don't apply anymore because we privatize the world. Do you know what I mean? Is there a big one in ZN? I don't see it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Which price are you talking about, Octavius? I'm just really, I don't know if I really want to trade this today because I do not understand why the treasuries are running up like this at all. That's the 6J has backed off, but the treasury continues buying, so I don't know what's going on. What's your constructive input? Government can't be involved in it. Well, so here's the first thing. The easy solution would be, oh, they hit it at 18. Oh, okay, that's interesting. The easy solution would be for corporations to just be more responsible and do more of what they did at Facebook and to say, well, we believe in freedom in the Constitution, and we're going to try and make our website more like a constitutional republic of sorts as well. And we're going to try and protect your human rights. And so if you are banned from the website or punished, you have to be told why. You should have the opportunity to defend yourself, etc., etc., etc. Right? But one of the things that really drives me crazy is okay. So we've got this really oppressive justice system in social media, right? And then what happens? Are they like giving it to who are they giving this expansive power to? They're outsourcing it to people overseas in call centers. Like, come on. So you're telling me somebody, listen, I don't make my living off of YouTube. There are some people on YouTube. You're telling me you build your whole life on this social media and your whole living, and it can all be undone by some random guy in an Indian call center? Like what? For real? Yeah, it's real crazy. And then on top of all of that, all of the people that have been deplatformed because of conservative views and views that they become popular, but they're not. They're against the narrative or whatever the deal is, and so YouTube gets rid of them. And meanwhile, you got people literally coming out there, spouting genocide on YouTube that eventually go out and commit mass murder, and nobody notices. Their only excuse is he only has 631 subscribers. You got to bet. Like, this is what's going to happen. There's going to have to be an investigation. Like, YouTube will maybe do their own internal review and like not tell the public. I don't think that we could trust them to say the truth, but I bet you Congress could get involved. It's probably going to become a political issue too because he's black. They're just going to be like, Republicans are going to want to investigate it and Democrats aren't going to want to investigate it. But did YouTube receive complaints about what he was saying on YouTube and ignored them? Didn't actually look into it? I think that's probably very likely the case. You say site integrity teams are based in the US, Philippines, and Indian BPOs only make simpler decisions such as porn. I'm not sure that that's actually the case. I mean, surely there are teams that are based in the US, but if I were to go in, if he hadn't have gone on the shooting, we came across his page and we reported it, I don't think that that report would go to a human in the United States. I have reported channels on YouTube, for scams and all sorts of other stuff. Nothing ever happens. It goes into a black hole. You can't tell me whoever it is that looked at those reports didn't actually look at the situation, because anybody that would actually look at the channel and everything would know, like, this is like an obvious scam and like obvious break of the site rules of conduct, but they don't do anything about it, right? Whoever's looking at it ain't doing their job, I tell you that. Okay, so here Uzi's got his thing here. Okay, it draws an opening range on a user-defined time window, and then it extends the lines till the end of the day. Oh yeah, I think I've used this before. Well, I have a opening range indicator. I think that Lizard Indicators has a really good opening range indicator. Maybe you should just use that one. I'll download it. You interviewed for the Facebook SRI team? Well, I do think that YouTube is, or sorry, Facebook is a little bit different. For sure. Well, Treasury's backing off a little bit there now. That kind of just looks like they reached the I don't know if I'm seeing a liquidity hole up in here, but that kind of looks like, a little bit of stops and mania, and they get ahead of themselves and pulled back. So they may form a liquidity hole in this area now. Okay, most feature engineering for site integrity in Facebook is from New York City and California. I believe that. It's YouTube that I'm questioning here. I got a new axe to grind with the smart money concept traders. Sorry, what do you mean by the smart money concept traders? We should make a forum or a blog about trading concepts. I have a problem. So are you talking about people who say the way to trade is to just follow the smart money? Yeah. What do you think of the DeMark sequence indicator and demand range indicator? So the DeMark sequence indicator is a really interesting one because DeMark like actively polices it. Like if I went and made a DeMark indicator and posted it on the internet, they would send me a cease and desist order. I don't know what they would do if I made a YouTube video about it. I've kind of thought, oh, let's test these. But yeah, it's just like so I haven't back tested it specifically. I've spoken to people who said that they did it and they said that it's not really anything. But I've also I remember there was this guy. Oh man. Well, I don't know. So when I worked for Goldman, there was this guy. They worked in derivatives down in Texas, and he would publish a technical analysis newsletter just because it was like, not very many people are talking about this, and I kind of want to go through it and try it, And you can understand that in there, like they're in the same position that we are. In fact, I think that we're probably in a more advanced position than they are. And I would hope that they know this stuff now, that, a lot of the underlying assumptions behind technical analysis really are suspect, right? But, he published this stuff and he would use those DeMark indicators. And he made a couple of really good calls from them, but then he made like one really, really bad call and like he stopped using it. I don't know. Yes, the AI makes a bunch of hit-miss decisions. The reported incidents go through AI, and the ones outputted with low certainty go through human review. Oh yeah, no, but no, that's like the thing. So there was a YouTube channel that was harassing me, and they were in particular, they were like mocking my appearance and so forth. They were saying that I was ugly and so forth. So clear violation of YouTube's terms of service. I reported those videos. I know many other people reported those videos, and they're still out there. I think technical analysis is more about controlling. New Squawk is talking. Here's the thing. For a technical analysis setup to have any efficacy, it has to be able to predict either the direction or magnitude of a move with a certain probability slash expectancy, right? So, um, the idea that is just about managing risk is, I think, a little bit in from what I've seen, the all you can do to manage risk is just say, this is the maximum amount that I should be able to lose in any given situation, and holding to those rules. And if you hold to those rules, that will help you. Because almost every strategy will have one day where it just does absolutely dismal, crazy bad for some reason. And if you just take that one day out, the results are always better, right? Other than that, and I'm not 100% sure what you do. You know, it's like, go and look at where the pivots are and put your stop there so that you have less chance of being stopped out. Okay, sure. But then at that point, if the thing actually does reduce the probability of you getting stopped out, then it's actually effective. And I think that's that's actual edge. It's not just about, you know, but every sort of metric that I've ever looked at that does that sort of a thing is kind of like, if you use that sort of heuristic, it will increase the kurtosis of your returns, but it doesn't actually change your long-term expectancy, right? In other words, you put your stop out there so you win more often, but then when you do lose, it's bigger. Okay. So the DeMark indicator, is there like an actual edge to it? I haven't tested it. I remember somebody who I trust quite well saying that they tested it and they said that there wasn't really anything to it. It's a pretty popular indicator out there, so you would think that if anybody had done so, that it'd be out there. But for me to test it, I would have to code up my own version of it and then back test it. And then maybe I would make a video about it and hope that I don't get sued. So I just don't. Like, I've never bothered. But I think that a better way to approach this sort of a thing is just to look at what we already know about the market. Okay. Um, Markets are more statistically efficient than they are informationally efficient. So the idea that there is this indicator out there that you count the number of days and that has some highly predictive edge about predicting when there's going to be a top or bottom, and so on and so forth. If there was such an edge, it would get arbitraged out of the market very quickly. So even though we haven't tested it, we can say it's extremely unlikely that it's very effective, right? Just from what we know about the market is much more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient. So the very first thing that I take away from that statement is, any well-known technical setup is unlikely to work. Doesn't mean that you can't find a technical setup that works. It's just it's not going to be well known. It's going to be something that only you found. And if it really works, you have to be careful about how you size it, because if it really works, you're going to keep making more and more and size your trades bigger and bigger until it stops working, right? So you need to know what the optimal number of contracts is for it to not be sniffed out. ATR guy who showed me fading ATR. I've actually tried trading ATR too, though. It's this is the one. I got to tell you guys, if you've ever seen, this is how they present this sort of thing. Hey guys, here's this great indicator. Look at all of these examples where this indicator worked well. Okay, and then that's their pitch for you. Ignore them. It's bullshit. Okay. If I was gonna market an indicator and I had like proven efficacy, listen, I have indicators. The stuff that I have as indicators are not intended to be like, here's a great setup that will make you money. They're intended to show you information about the market that you couldn't see otherwise, right? Like all these other indicators, they're showing you stuff about price, right? What I'm doing is I'm showing you metrics about the level 2 that you can't really see with other tools, like what the pace of the overall number of orders is actually doing. Okay. So it's up to you to determine if by filtering that data and maybe passing it into a neural network or something like that, if you can find an edge in it, right? That's all I'm doing. Okay. But if I had something that was like an actual setup, what I would do is I would show you the 5-year performance of the strategy and the percentage win loss and average winner and average loser and Sharpe ratio of it, right? And if you don't get that kind of information from somebody, what can you conclude? They must not have that information, right? Maybe they're really good at marketing, but they don't know enough to do it. ATR is the same thing. Like, yeah, ATR, you can make good calls fading the ATR, but it's got a fat tail. It's got a fat tail, and the expectancy of it in the long run still doesn't work. It's one of those, like that's the one that you got to watch for, because the one that's easiest to fool you is it works most of the time, but then when it doesn't work, it's really bad, right? It's going to be like, it works most of the time, but then there's a 3-month period of the year where it's just dismal. That's usually how it goes. Man, this indicator that you got here in Uzi is a little messy. They are drawing lines. Okay, so what is the problem with it? It then extends the lines till the end of the day. Slap it on a 30-minute chart with the start and end time of the first 30 minutes of the overnight session, then it probably wouldn't work, right? Because the line would only be 1 bar. Oh, that's so weird. That's so funny. I want to try it now. I'm almost certain that's what it is. I'm almost certain that's what it is. Oh wait, first I have to like import the downloads. Okay. Do you have lizard indicators suite? Because they have an opening range indicator in there that's perfect, and you should probably use that one. Yeah, I'm already seeing the problems in this, because there's not a yeah, this is just a flawed indicator, dude. It's flawed. Okay. I'm being a little ADHD today, aren't I? I've just moved very abruptly between 3 different topics. Markets go up until they go down and vice versa. Listen, I don't take well, maybe I do. It's not a happy thing for me that the markets are statistically efficient, right? The best situation for me would be that markets are not very statistically efficient at all. And then I could come in and I could say, here's all of these stats, and this will make you money. And I could sell all of this stuff to you guys as like, guaranteed. And I could be making tons of money off of it too. And like, it's just, it doesn't work that way. Market's competitive and it's very statistically efficient. the younger traders tend to lean towards FX or crypto. Well, it's because they're, dude, it's a problem, right? You know what was something I was somebody that I've kind of been following on TikTok, because I kind of suspected that they were like a little bit left leaning and that they were going to start saying things that were crazy. And yeah, like as of recent, they've gone like full on modern monetary theory, right? And one of the things that I find the modern monetary theory people, like where they make the mistakes is they straight up do not understand the bond and interest rate markets. They don't understand them at all. They just ignore them. And they don't realize that all of the policies and things that they're talking about are going to be reacted to by the bond market significantly, and they don't understand it. So for instance, one of them, they were saying, how is the Federal Reserve raising interest rates going to impact inflation? Like, it doesn't do anything. Well, what they don't understand is that the interbank interest rate, this is because what the federal funds rate is, understand, is the rate that the banks charge each other for short-term interest rate. Okay. So if I'm JP Morgan and I need extra capital to complete a transaction, I can go and ask Goldman Sachs for a short-term loan, and Goldman Sachs will charge me 2% yearly interest rate on that loan. And that's how it works. Okay. So if I am a company and I need to fund my operations, and understand almost all of these large corporations offer bonds of some sort, right? Like you can get funding from offering stock. Okay. But there's kind of a limit on that. You don't want to offer too much stock, right? Because then you're giving away part of your company. You're diluting your own ownership of it, right? So you want to just do bonds. You have to pay the bonds back, yes, but it doesn't dilute your ownership in the company. So they're all going to offer bonds to fund themselves, right? And that means higher interest rate being charged by the banks. That means that the higher interest rate being charged for the company. So when you raise that federal funds rate, it increases the cost to maintain operations for every company in America almost, right? Yeah, raising interest rates has a big impact. And the thing is that like 2% is just like the equalized thing. That's what inflation is, okay? So this is just like equalized, right? We're like underneath of it, right? We go back to 2% and we're kind of just like at the neutral interest rate. And where that is kind of depends on your definition of R-star, and we ain't get into that. But, right, we're just moving to a neutral interest rate policy, and a lot of people are freaking out, which I think is kind of really funny, right? But here again, like I none of these new traders, they don't understand any of that stuff. They think it doesn't matter. But like here again, from what I can see, the vast majority of new traders are overwhelmingly trying to use charts, almost without exception, trying to use charts or follow somebody else. It's not real trading in my opinion. Yeah, I hear bonds are the best instrument to start with. Yeah, well, because the thing is it's very easy for you to go into equities and say, well, bonds don't matter, and just ignore them. And all that ends up doing is making you ignorant. So now there's this entire other world, like literally there's a whole world of just bonds that is bigger than the equities market that these people don't even know exists, and they don't know how significantly it affects their world, right? The other big advantage to bonds, just here's the other thing about it, okay? If you get into like investing in bonds, what you're going to do is you're going to go and look at it and you're going to say, okay, so here is the bond. It has a face value of this, and this is what the interest rate that was when it was offered, or that I'm going to get on it, right? And then here is what they're selling the bond for right now. And so then I have to go through and calculate, okay, based on the price that it is now and all of the coupon payments that I'm going to get during the period in which I intend on holding it, how much what I'm going to make and what the rate of return that I'm going to get, right? And is this bond priced appropriately, right? Well, so everything in the bond market is very, very mathematical. Well, guess what? You can do that in the equity markets too. And that's how you get into valuing equities, right? So it's really useful to go and do the bond, because basically when you really think about it, the equity market is exactly like the bond market, is just more complicated, right? So the bond market is really a good place to start, value bonds, and then learn how to value equities. Really, I'm getting to your thing, Uzi. But like that's the very thing. This is the problem that I have, is that they've all been told that the market is efficient. This is the ultimate problem with the culture surrounding the financial markets among lay people today. Okay. They've been told that the market is efficient. And because the market is efficient, their approach to it is basically, oh, so I don't actually need to know. Seriously, right? Why do I need to know how to value what Google's stock should actually be worth based on my anticipation of what forward earnings and growth and everything is? Why should I do that calculation if the market is efficient? They've already done that, and it's been baked into the price, and I can get that information from looking at a chart, right? And so there's this whole generation of traders that have basically kept themselves intentionally ignorant of the things that actually matter, right? The professional side, they don't do this, because the professional side, like, they're only going to do what they can prove works, and they take minimal risk, and so they basically only make money on they only make money on facilitating the transactions, right? Or if you're on the investment advisor side, it's more about the mix of your portfolio, right? These people that, like the Warren Buffett types, there's not very many of them out there. Like, our research kind of suggests that these pricing mechanisms are really weak. People believe markets are completely, well, it's not random chaos. It's just they are not informationally efficient. So this move up here in the Treasury, there's a great example. Or somebody was saying, I have a problem with the people that say just follow the big money, right? Okay, so the Treasury has moved up big time. Their initial move off of the PPI was down, which I think was correct, but since then they've moved up. I don't know why. Should I be saying, well, the big money thinks to go long, so I should be trying to go long? Well, number one, we don't know if they're going to continue, so we may have just missed the boat, right? That's the first thing. But the second thing is why are they actually doing it, right? Because if they're doing it because there's a bond auction today and they're preparing for that bond auction today, and then after that, they're going to dump prices, right? Do you really want to get in long at that point? No, you don't, right? Or it could be, because you're trying to hold the bonds for what it means to the Federal Reserve's actions in the future and inflation in the future, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the move that you're seeing right now is just they have to buy bonds to hedge themselves for the auction, right? Like, why it's moving matters, and the market is not informationally efficient. So you can come out and have a piece of information like that PPI is not very good right now, and that could cause inflation to be more sticky, and the market doesn't price that into the market because there's something else in the way of it doing that, a bond auction or whatever, right? This is why the market's not informationally efficient. You go and you look at changes in fundamental information and changes in the market, they don't match up. It's not just like the market moves more than there are changes in fundamentals, because you might say, well, yeah, but there's just noise. It's not just that. It's like if there is a piece of news and the market reacts to it, sometimes they move further than what the fundamentals suggest. Sometimes they don't move as much as the fundamentals suggest. Sometimes they don't move at all, even though the fundamentals suggest that they should. And sometimes they move late. What? Market's not informationally efficient. So this entire framework that lay retail traders have taken based on technical analysis and the efficient market hypothesis is complete BS and has basically left them ignorant of the things that really matter. Yeah, timeframes matter. If you're thinking swing or long-term investment, is very different than talking 10 to 20 days trades. Yeah, and I think that the higher the time frame that you have, the more likely it is that the market will eventually come back to your idea of what fundamental value is, right? That's true. Well, see, our job as speculators, at least that's what I'm doing. Wish I could say that I was just a market maker, but I'm not competitive, at least not in the treasury market. I'm not competitive as a market maker, so I can't call myself a market maker. But my job as a speculator is to say, what are the things that will move the market? What are things that will cause people to input new orders into the system? And how many orders are they going to? I'm basically trying to predict orders, right? Today, I've been dead wrong. When I saw the action happen, I saw, well, this is not in line with what I thought should happen, so I didn't take a trade. Right? Great example of putting this all into practice. And how am I able to do that? Because I know that the market's not informationally efficient, right? But I do know, like, why might people submit orders? Sometimes the reasons that people submit orders contradict the fundamental information. And we can perfectly explain why, because it's part of their business, their strategy. They have to rebalance. They have to hedge themselves for the auction. They are offering bonds for a company, etc., etc. Okay. And well, I guess the reason why that kind of came up was because it was crypto, right? The people in the cryptocurrency market are very much supporters of that whole framework, right? Yeah. They think that the market is fundamentally efficient. That's then what they're going to say is Bitcoin being up is evidence that it works, which is not true because the market's not informationally efficient. Okay. It's called opening range indicator. Sure. Oh, so you said to put it on a 30-minute. Supposed to draw until the end of the day, right? This is a poorly written indicator, I tell you. Tell you that much. There shouldn't be that many. So they've come in and they've put the colors are all inputs into the indicator when really the only thing that should be inputs into the indicator is the time frame, right? It's just this. So what is the problem in the screenshot exactly? Some days the lines go all the way across and some days they don't. Is that it? So let me show you something. Oh, I should not close that. Let me open that back up. Okay. New editor. Yeah, from a code perspective, you can't complain. Opening range indicator. So basically what they're doing, they got all this stuff, right? And then they have like a start time and an end time, right? And then if it is the start time, then they set these prices. And then if it's the end time, they set these prices. So it looks like they're kind of saying, like, I don't know if this is the high or low, so I don't know if I'm going to be using the lower end of this range or the higher end of this range, right? That's what that's all about, right? Come in, here's the open is like this, and then here's the close, and the open's like this. So I want to use this and this. But if the close was like this, then I would actually want to use this and this, right? So that's why that if statement is there. Okay. And then highest price, lowest price, blah, blah, blah. And then they draw all of the lines. And the line goes from start time to end time. Upper range, lower range. Okay. So there's nothing in here about like if you want it to draw to the end of the session, this can't do it because it doesn't know when the end of the session is. Right? Okay. Now let's go and look at Liz's indicator. Where is it? Oh yeah, they all start AMA. AMA opening range. Here we go. Okay. And the first thing that I want to point out is that they have a session iterator. So if you want to do things related to like time like this, it's probably best to have a session iterator, especially when it comes to like the time, because the session iterator can tell you, okay, it's the beginning of the session or it's the end of the session or whatever the deal is, right? Yada, 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 yada. So let's come in and add it on this chart. Lizard indicators, opening range, and it's going to do 6:20 to 7. So the first 40 minutes. Actually, let's not do that. Let's do 7:30 to 8 o'clock. That would be the opening range of the S&P 500, right? Show regular opening range, pre-session, show, okay. Check it out. And then there's 7:30, shows me that opening range, and then that goes until the close. It looks kind of nice too, doesn't it? And it also gives me a line for like what the open was, I believe is what that line is. And I forget what the dark line is. You want those extensions, but that's what this does, right? They go to the end of the session. Yeah? Or are you saying you want the ones that are like X away from it? I don't know what those extensions were all about. But what I would do is, yeah, the up and down, yeah. Probably the best way to broach this though is to do it right on the to take Lizard's AMA opening range and extend it right? So then you can come in and say, okay, oh, how does he do it? Doesn't look like he's using lines. Looks like he's actually drawing them, which is also better. It might be a little complicated for you. The opening range ticks multiplied up and down. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, you're just showing it on CN. I get you. Yeah. Let's see here. There's always a lot of little things that precession mid. No, it doesn't have anything like that built into it. So you would have to write it, but I'm just saying if you own the lizard indicators, I think it's like 150 bucks now, and then you get access to all of his like 30, 40 indicators for forever, and you get the code. And you get the code too. So you can come in and it must be in if plot PS probably, because he's got to do all this stuff about, okay, are we like in the opening range, like which period are we in, and so forth, and where to draw it and so forth. But it would probably be in this area where it's like, where's it drawn? Oh, maybe there's a it's in miscellaneous on render, yeah. And somewhere in here you would have to add lines. Yeah, it would be a complicated thing to write. I'm sorry. It would be a complicated thing to write. But do you get what I'm saying? Like the indicator that you have is like fundamentally flawed because it's not using a session iterator. So the reason why it doesn't go to the end of the session every time is because sometimes it doesn't find the time that it's looking for, I think. I don't know. Just if you don't use a session generator, you're gonna get problems like that. Because in his, right, he wants to say that the end time should be like this certain time of day, right? Oh, it's the end time of this. Oh, he's probably doing it like, okay, here's the start and here's the end, and then it does go to, on my session chart, it does go to the end of the session every time. Yeah, well, it's because it's going to depend on what the hours you choose on the chart and the time frame of it, right? Because if I come in and I say, like here on this one with the default settings that I have, right? Or the default settings is like 821 to 825. That's not going to work if it's a 30-minute chart, right? Because it's never going to find a bar that starts at 821, right? And what is the check that they do? Oh, it's if it's less than the start time. So it should still pick it up theoretically. Here comes, oh, my data reset again. That's interesting. Let's go and put theirs on. Oh, does it? Wait, does it? It does add a 1 minute series. But is he using it? Oh my gosh, my stomach is doing weird things. Doesn't look like he actually uses it though. I gotta tell you, this probably shouldn't have been put out. Why you gonna add a time series and not use it? Right? Oh, unless he's using bars period dot value equals 1. Oh, that's maybe that is limiting it to the right one. It's saying I'll only do it if we're on the 1 minute chart. That's kind of an interesting. Okay, maybe that's not as bad as I initially thought. It's still kind of funky. It's not the way that you'd normally do it. That's for sure. But we want these lines to come all the way over to here, don't we? That's just to the end of the day. Here, let's do this. Let's come back and do like 30 days. Probably better, huh? I think that maybe what we could do is we could come in and add the session iterator and tell it to draw the lines from the open time to the end of the session. Maybe. I don't know. I don't feel like fixing it. I think you should find out who wrote it and have them fix it. So where is a day where it's doing the error? There's that. There's like Sunday, right? Maybe that's why it's doing that. Is that the day that's broken right there? I guess I still am not 100% sure what is wrong with it. It seems that the complaint is that sometimes it only goes to a certain point and sometimes it covers like the whole day. And it's inconsistent in that. And probably the reason that it's going the whole day is because that's Sunday. But they should really use a session iterator. And then you could just find out if we're at the end of the session or not and draw it to that. But I don't know. I'm not sure why would trying to make decisions off of lines like that would be a pretty sketchy venture anyways. Okay, where was I? Now that I've dug into that and probably bored you all. No, we're okay. Why is the treasury is still moving higher? Sweden to apply for NATO membership, Finland to decide within weeks. Russia has said that they would respond to such provocations, yeah? Increased your account a full 10% thanks to the yen. Just this morning, did you go along? Minneapolis Fed president goes woke, does political lobbying, ignores inflation. Delta shares jump as company forecasts return to pre-COVID sales. Hey, that's good. Good for me because my wife is a flight attendant. I don't think she flies. Well, maybe some of her flights are Deltas. Here, wait. Let's send her that. Let's send her that. Let's send her that story to keep up on the industry. Hmm? There we go. There's 121. But the S&P 500 is rising here too. Is there something about the PPI that I'm misinterpreting? There's gotta be. I'm missing something big here. What is it? I mean, it could just be like a dead cat bounce sort of a thing too. Although I kind of wonder, like, why wouldn't they have extended yesterday? Why are they waiting till today? Pre-holiday repositioning, maybe? Yeah. I mean, well, today is Wednesday, right? So I guess you got today and tomorrow. Yeah, it could be that. It's not a move that I can participate in. I mean, we could keep going. How much would we have gone on if we had, cuz like here's the thing, is the initial move was correct. Oh, yeah, we could have maybe made 50 bucks. 50, 60 bucks on one contract. Yeah. Missed out. But I mean, there's absolutely, like I was thinking, okay, now they've kind of come up to the top of the range and maybe they'll come and move back down and come in line with the news, but then they're not doing that. So I'm glad I didn't take that trade, but the trade that I was thinking of doing was the exact opposite. So instead, I saw the order flow, and I guess a part of it was also that it wasn't feeling very good, but I saw the order flow and decided not to test it. How far can they go here now? Well, 121 is usually going to be something that's going to be a pretty big hitch. So that is a wild, I mean, this is the other thing, is that trend is like a 30-minute long trend. It's a really strong trend to not really have a very strong reason for it, right? You know what? I never ran this installer. Okay, so my dog is got a problem. He now thinks that there's like something or someone all the time that like doesn't belong there. So like if he sees his reflection in the window, he'll start barking. Or like somebody comes down the stairs. He's become yippy. I don't know what to do about it. I might have to get him a bark collar. The ZN yield hit Tuesday's low, yeah. Well, okay, so you know what is another thing that could be going on here is that there has been like there's like very, very long, like multi-year resistance to yields in this location. And so it could be a technical move bouncing off of that. Right. So, well, are they coming back? We might be able to, if they come back far enough, we might be able to sort out, maybe a 10 ticker at some point. But let's see here. What else do we got going on today? $30-year bond auction. We said that. Crude oil inventories. So no Fed speakers or anything like that. Oh, so very curious. I mean, there's a lot of... it's not like we don't have any ideas about why it might be moving. There's a couple of reasons why it might be moving, but it's just very unclear what it is. Right? I'm sure that the people that bought it up know very, very clearly. Although, another thing I have to say is that, like, the change in cumulative delta and everything was not... It was only like 10,000 contracts, maybe, long. So it was kind of a low liquidity move of sorts. But you don't know. And you didn't even really realize that it's been a while since the S&P 500 opened out. S&P 500 has just been running up since then. Well, I wish I hadn't of yesterday they just got slammed, right? There's still kind of this thought that they might float up to 4,500 by the end of the week. That kind of seems a lot less likely, though, right? CPI yesterday, today PPI. Yeah, well, and the thing is the PPI was not good. If they were trading just off of the PPI, they'd be going lower for sure. But maybe they got what they wanted and are covering the trade. I don't know. I can't believe that this guy's YouTube is still up. Refresh. Is it still there? It's still there. How is this still up? Like YouTube or sorry, Facebook has been really good at like taking these things down quickly. Hey, listen, it's there. They haven't come into work yet today. That's the problem, right? The people that would do this, they live in California. It is still 6:50 there. All 7 o'clock. They haven't. They're still eating breakfast. Okay. Now what's this? Oh, I need to come way back up here on Twitter. Okay. Yep, 6:50 there. Yeah. They'll probably within the next 2 or 3 hours they'll take it down. Twitter's got lots of questions to answer. Have they been saying anything about it on Reddit? I'm gonna bet Reddit don't want to talk about it. Amazon workers made up almost half of all warehouse injuries last year. Wow. Not surprised though. Yeah. Yeah, this is like one of those, like, you're not hearing anything about it outside of conservative media. It's like already, it's like they're just not even picking it up. Let me resort Reddit here. Elon Musk sued by shareholders over delay in disclosing Twitter stake. Interesting. There's nothing like this. Should be like the top story. This is just so messed up. Hold on. They're saying it's not being investigated as a terror attack, but it was basically a domestic terrorist attack, right? Frank James made some concerning posts on social media about the homeless New York and the New York City mayor. As a result, they're increasing the mayor's. Oh, so he's out there. He's gonna try and assassinate the mayor. Well, I'm quite surprised that they haven't found him yet. To commit a murder like that in New York and then be able to run away, that's super crazy. I don't know, man. It's a little wild. Jeez. Is there really no? I mean, does kind of seem like the media coverage of it is surprisingly slim. When was the last time we saw something like this happen? Wasn't it? I think just like the a person of interest in the news, their social media is still up, and it's like, why haven't they taken this down yet? I think the last one that I remember was the RazzleCon thing, right? That one's. I'm kind of surprised that people aren't still joking about that one because that was freaking hilarious. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. And those videos were like, what? Did somebody really unironically make this? Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, you know what? I think YouTube, just a suggestion. Surely you're watching, right? Maybe some of your trust and safety people should live on the East Coast. Or maybe they should be in Europe. That'd be even better. Maybe they should be in Europe, right? I've yet to hear of acts of violence in Utah. Well, I mean, stuff happens, but I've never heard of any kind of like a. What was the last time that something? I think the last time something crazy happened in Utah was when a shooter went and shot up the Trolley Square Mall. Yeah, that happened. But that was just your typical crazy white boy, I believe, right? But no, we have not defunded the police. Well, you know what the thing is? There was a study that was making waves in conservative media the other day, and it was basically a study about the effectiveness of COVID policy. And they tried to do kind of like an all-encompassing measure. So, how much your economy was hit mattered, how much access to in-person schooling your children had mattered, and how many people died. And there wasn't just like how many died of COVID, but like excess deaths mattered as well. And guess who was number one by far? Utah. Because there wasn't like the leaders here just like completely ignored COVID, but they just said we're not going to like completely wash away everybody's rights and stuff. And there was that initial lockdown to prepare and flatten the curve. And then since then, everything's kind of been open, and it's kind of just been up to individuals as to, you got to wear your masks and that sort of thing. But yeah, they did quite well. And so I think that so one of the things that I realized when I was on vacation, okay, something that happened to me on vacation, and I don't really want to talk about it too much because like I get like PTSD. Like I just thinking about it makes me so mad. But I was having trouble getting on a flight, and I'm talking to the gate attendant, and I have one of those medical masks, and as you talk, because you put it over your chin, so as you talk, the mask will like fall off of your nose, right? So I'm talking to this person, and the mask falls off of my nose, and they were extremely upset that the mask was coming off of my nose, and said, "Stop taking your mask off." Like they literally said, "Stop taking your mask off." What, dude? Like it comes off when you're talking, folks. You can like I'm sitting here, you're sitting here, we're seeing the same thing. You think I'm taking my mask off intentionally? What? And they're like, "Well, you have a defective mask." It was the same mask they had. So they gave me another mask. They gave me another mask, put the other mask on, and then that one did the same thing. They were so mad about it too. They were so upset about it too. It's like, wow. Okay. Obviously in Dallas here, they are still in the throes of COVID. It is not the same thing as it is in Utah. That would be so ridiculous in Utah. I like it's at the airport, so everybody's supposed to wear a mask at the airport, right? But ain't nobody in Utah would get upset about it, right? That's so wild. Like there really are parts of the country it's like I thought that, oh, okay, well there's parts of the country where they're still being really aggressive with COVID policy, and there's parts of the country where maybe they're not, like that was kind of my approach to it. But now I'm realizing like no, like everywhere else, my perspective of what the pandemic has been like is completely skewed compared to everybody else in the country. Okay, whoa. Man, the Bank of Canada did a hike, and the guy over the squawk said it's so loud. They did a 50 basis point hike. No reaction to that by the markets, though. Begins quantitative tightening, but no reaction from the markets. You say Canadian futures spiked? And you just saw a spike in Bitcoin, like a really strong spike in Bitcoin. That's kind of weird. I'm seeing the S&P 500 drop a little bit. So a hike was expected. I don't think that this move that we've seen here this morning in the bonds has anything to do with it, though. Say they've been on a nice run this. Well, I don't see that at all. It was down. They dropped below 40K yesterday, came back above it, and then dropped below it, spent the whole day trying to bust through it, and now only just now spiking. And still only a modest spike of the range. So there does seem to be something going on in the cryptocurrency market today, but I'm not sure where it's going to sort itself out. For now, it looks good. So I'm very curious because the only thing that I'm really seeing trending very well is the treasuries down here, right? Don't know what then we don't really know why. Okay, well, the treasuries now do seem to be reacting to the Canadian news, and the treasuries are dropping. I don't think that what the Bank of Canada did was unexpected. I wasn't really paying attention to that there was Canadian news this morning, but I always forget that one because we never pay attention to when the Canadian central bank is going up, right? But uh just it being a hike and everything, that's maybe going to cause some sentiment problems. But it still kind of begs the question, what was the reason for the rise? Because depending on what the reason for the rise was, maybe we want to try and take a long here, right? As it really was quite a strong move up. It was good 16 tick move or whatever. So actually 30 tick move, right? From here to here, that's like 30 ticks. Almost a full point. Can you put on the bottom portion of your screen the ZN and ES starts? Why? Why would I want to do that? Do you guys not have your own charts? Yeah, see, like we could have gone long in here. Hey, why not? Like right here. Just as an experimental trade. Should be able to get that. Is that it shouldn't be, I shouldn't call it experimental, I should just call it gambling. The gambling trade. I'll take another one right there, and even right there. I'll think of it. But maybe I need to do the opposite. Maybe I should be coming over here and should be buying rates. I don't know. Man. This is it's an interesting day. Neil Irwin, a hard-edged new speech from Janet Yellen makes clear war and peace are at the center of world financial diplomacy this year, not the usual capital flows and current accounts. Then they link to a story by Axios. Okay, I don't know why that matters, but or what that's really supposed to mean, but Hmm. So very curious. It really seems to me that Bitcoin spiked on the Canadian news, don't you think? Oh, I'm a little weary about the timing of all of this and everything, but like I really kind of am thinking that maybe I want to be long 2.7. I'm not gonna take it, but I think it would make more sense for them to try and move back up again and then drop. They do seem to be getting smashed here. Probably is the Canadian news. The 30 year is not really moving as much. Yeah, I don't have the chart of the Canadian dollar up, but the dollar index overall isn't moving too much. I don't know. It's all very curious. I'm riveted by the action today, but I'm just don't have any idea what to do about it. See, like they're not really like I would expect them to try and bounce around these prices. That's kind of why I was like, oh, let's take a trade here. It's that at the moment the buys aren't really coming, are they? Was a decent impulse of selling there at points, certain points during all of that action. Very lovely, very lovely. Might not get the fill there at 30 there quite yet. Oh, hey, there you go. Maybe not too bad. Not too bad. We can get the one at 31 as well. That would be just perfect. S&P 500 is still kind of struggling here. You think the S&P 500 is going to falter? I'm kind of starting to think. Wouldn't be surprised. Well, I shouldn't. Every time that I use like an opener about how I feel about a certain thing that I'm going to tell you guys, I always like second guess how I want to say that. I don't know what my problem is. Hey, it's possible that we might see some inverse correlation where the S&P 500 falls and the treasuries rise. That is, I think, a distinct possibility in this situation. Because the S&P 500, based on the options and everything else, like they really should be showing more bull action than they have been, and they're not. I think that's very concerning. And we're still kind of in a situation where a breach, like a breach of yesterday's lows, would probably be very, very negative for the options holders in the equities market, right? And so that might be, and that trade would kind of be more like, oh yeah, we are going to go into recession. So that might be a situation for the treasuries to kind of back off, because at the moment, like there was the PPI. I thought that the PPI was really bad, but the treasury market didn't really seem to react to that. It doesn't seem like they really think that mattered. So For now, I think I have to say it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really change my opinion significantly about the forward path of inflation. Like, I think that there are a lot of measures of inflation that are likely to peak here, but there's some other measures of inflation that we're going to see come back a little bit later on. So I think that the overall inflation is likely to be a little bit more sticky, but that the crazy inflation is probably over with. So yeah, look at that. They came right back up to the highs and they're going to push a little bit higher now, huh? It was a good trade though on the pullback. It's a good call. Not one that I was willing to do on my live account, but it was still a good trade. Anyways, but I'm still stuck at why are the treasuries buying as hard as they are? Well, there's an auction today. Equity market's not doing so hot. We've got a big options expiration and everything. You know, kind of seems like that to me. So in that situation, what should we expect the S&P 500 to do? Probably, I think I'm leaning towards the downside right now, even though it has been in cumulative delta has been a buy. We should know that. So that's positive for ES. But if ES tanks, I think that would add to more pressure on the treasuries. Well, man, that move was not just like it wasn't just like it came back. Like it came back with vengeance. Hmm. Biden to announce a 750 million military aid package for Ukraine. Jeez. Remember when a billion was like actually a billion's not that big. Never mind. It was a trillion was the number. We're like, what? A trillion? What? Hmm. Look at her go. There's a big order up there at 06. Smacked down really hard there in the 5-year. I don't know. Really want to know what the driver of this move is. You know, we used to get this all the time, and I was always really mad and confused and everything. And kind of lately, I feel like we've kind of been more on the ball, so it's a little weird to be back in that spot of like, well, treasuries are moving really strongly for some reason, but it's not a reason that I was able to anticipate, right? Yeah. I'm sure towards the end of the day, usually what happens is like the end of the day, next day, we get like a much clearer um, understanding of why. That might, well, it's a little bit too late now. I was going to say you might be able to sell into 675 because they're probably going to bust through this big order in the 30-year and float up to these next little set of targets. But I think your good opportunity just passed there to pick up $10. Too slow. Too slow. If it was like a little bit slower, probably another minute there and I would have done it. That's a really strong move in the treasury. Let's come back and look at that on the volume profile. Oh yeah. Oh, so they're not quite okay. So 121.06 06 half, let's say. There's a big order at 06 is like from the 7th. So let's see here. Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So from last Thursday when they turned down in the overnight session? I mean, wow, that's a lot of volume trading up in here too. So this 06 does appear to be a significant line that people are trading. There is a decent amount of volume going both ways ahead of it. I suspect, given the degree of trend that we've had, that it shouldn't be too hard for them to bust through those prices. And if it does, we might see some fireworks, yeah? but it does kind of look like somebody's fighting it here. Hmm. FX Street retweets Ali Martin. Okay, so they did break it. Jeez. Okay, that was awfully fast. Hmm. Did that big order at 14 just magically show up there? 'Cause you can see, like, there's some bullish action and everything, but they do seem to be getting knocked down. Bitcoin is extending further. What's going on here? Like, if I'm going to take a reversal, this would be a good spot to do it because we are seeing some volume fight back. At the same time, this 06 might kind of become a little bit of a stumbling block, so it might be hard for them to flip completely back down. There might be some latent liquidity in this area. The 02 to 05 area. They see that the 30 year didn't hit into the 14 yet. The thing with that move, that we had a really strong, it was a very, very strong trend this morning without a very clear explanation. There was a slight pullback, and then here after 10 minutes after the Canadian bank news, we got a really, really powerful move up to extend that. Again, with no apparent rhyme or reason. But that kind of action there that has a very hard time extending. And given that it is like a pivot point from a previous day, like a previous day's high, you are going to see some people trying to sell it there. So it would totally, I think it would be a totally makes sense for them to reverse there. And that'd be the end of that move. But then I don't know why they're moving up is still really gives me pause. Like, I think that becomes a really hard trade to make. The trade would basically be buying 2.67, right? Overall, I think that the rates are maybe gotten ahead of themselves. So it wouldn't surprise me to see, because I don't think that the Federal Reserve is going to do 50 basis point hikes 4 times in a row and stuff like this. Then it's not going to get that far. So that, one of the biggest inflationary pressures was fiscal stimulus, and that is not there anymore. So yeah, they did break Tuesday's lows. Here, I show you. Well, just look on the 10-year here, right? So they broke through this. They just kind of broke through that by like a tick or two. And then they're coming back down. So we're kind of at a decision point. I think that what you're likely to see is some degree of liquidity hole in the 06 area. It could flip back down. This could be a reversal. That's the sort of thing that can create a reversal. And because they moved through this area so quickly, guys. Like, if it reverses, they could slip through it very easily. Wouldn't take very much volume. But we don't know why it's moving up. They might have a really good reason to move up. They might have a lot of volume to trade. So we can't discount the possibility that it goes higher, you know? Can't discount that it goes higher. But I don't know. I think it maybe makes sense to try a reversal here, but I don't like trying to fight the trend like that, you know? Yeah. You can see it's 2.663 right now. Well, one of the things that's been going on, you got to be really careful with, is that there has been some pretty extreme moves in some of the curves. And so there's actually been a lot of spread between the 7 and 10-year yields as well. So what you're getting over here in the 10-year doesn't necessarily reflect what's happening over in the ZN. But I really think you're going to see more volume in ZN. So the technicals over there are going to be more influential, right? See, it's not really backing off. They fought it, but the buys are still coming through, especially in the 30-year. The 30-year is really spiking up. So maybe they're trying to flatten the curve again. I don't know. Can see I'm kind of getting into this headspace where it's like there's got to be more opportunity in this. I really want to take a trade, you know? You can see the flattening coming in to the 30 and 5. I think also there's a time. You know, the one trade that I did catch on like the pullback, I could have held that and made a lot more on it, but it was still an awesome trade, right? I wish now in retrospect, maybe I should have taken that on the, probably should have taken that on my live account. But again, I didn't, I saw like the order flow set up, but I didn't have the other side of it, right? When you don't have the other side of it, it's really hard to know if it's going to really actually continue or not. By the way, I'm sure that my portfolio has gotten hit pretty hard today, right? Because JP Morgan has got slammed. That's going to drag the other banks down. Although, hopefully, well, actually, I'm not doing too bad today. So did Goldman not get affected? They're only down 0.5%. So that's good. Some of my other ones are doing well. That's actually kind of weird. I'm not quite sure what all of that means. Because the index overall, well, I guess the index is up a little bit now at the moment. I don't know. The index doesn't seem to be doing too hot to me, but Think that after the bonds are done with their move, ES will take over? Could be, but I don't know. If that sort of thing is going to happen, then what they're doing is they're buying the bonds up and then they're going to turn around and sell the indexes, right? I don't know. They're coming back pretty hard there again, though. They like it was looking really strong and it's sputtering out again. And we're back to the 6-7, which is kind of what I predicted would happen. I don't know. It's actually it looks a little bit too obvious. This one looks a little too obvious to me. It's like you sell it here. Uh, mm, okay, I'm gonna do it, but it looks a little too obvious to me. This liquidity behind us in the treasury is likely to be weak, so let's monitor that. I think that the chart kind of started to turn down. You can see there in the 10-year. See how it, like the way that it turned down started to look awfully scary, right? That might be a little this that might not be a reliable way to trade. That's why I'm a little weary about it, because that seems like a too obvious of a price action setup, right? Lower high and accelerating downside movement. After a really out of nowhere move. It's all very suspicious. So far, S&P 500 looks okay here, though. I've gotten a decent amount of these block orders today. We're going to get the oil today. Oil here in a second, right? Crude oil, yes. Which could move the treasuries. Wow, it's a pretty big build there in oil. 9.382 million versus an expected 1 million. That's a really big build in crude oil inventories. Distillate is negative and gasoline is negative as draws, but crude itself is a build. That's gonna tank oil, isn't it? Yeah. That could help drag our well. So typically that's gonna be less fight for dollars, less demand for treasuries, I think, right? But that can kind of be a little nuanced because sometimes it could be, um, you know, you would expect the treasuries to move down if it was the opposite too, though, right? Because it'd be like, oh no, energy inflation is still going to be high. We're going to have to hedge it by selling treasuries because they're going to have to raise interest rates to keep up with the inflation, right? So yeah, that one's a really complicated nest that I've never been able to sort out. I can only say that sometimes when we get big moves in oils, we have as of late seen them also mirrored in the treasury. But oil's definitely getting hit. They were at $1.02. They're already down to, or sorry, not $1.02, 102. Now they're almost to 100.5. So they definitely made the move there. The treasuries are dropping a few clips. Hmm. Is that Yellen saying that the International Monetary Fund needs to be modernized? Hmm. Seeing the move in Bitcoin start to reverse now too. And oil, after a very strong initial dive, is trying to recover. So they're sucking back through already. The IMF and World Bank must be modernized to address problems and challenges they were not designed to address, says Secretary Yellen. Treasury Secretary Yellen. I don't know what that means or what those problems are. Apparently there's a problem with the IMF and World Bank that I am not aware of. Okay, so we're starting to get into some of these prices from before the breakout, right? Mhm. That's not what you like to see as soon as you put an order in. Probably it was a coincidence, but somebody did try and make it pivot there, though. That build was the largest since March of 2021 in oil. I'm quite surprised. I don't follow the oil that much, but that was a really big build, right? I'm surprised that the oil, so oil is almost back to unchanged and actually moving higher now. And Treasury is kind of threatening to bounce and push back up to the highs here at the moment. We'll see. Well, I'm not. I don't really rely on the charts too much, but the chart that you see in the upper left is the Vista chart that is a part of Jigsaw Day Trader, and the colors in the background basically reflect the resting liquidity. Brighter the brighter of shade of green, the more resting orders there are there. And this one down at the bottom is my dollar index, synthetic dollar index, which is an indicator I sell at speculatorset.com. Hmm. Starting to see a little bit more extreme selling in the 30-year, which helps. The other two not quite coming along with it yet, though. Somebody decided to buy there in the micros. Yeah, no problem. I have a video that about like the platforms that I use and why, so you can go into that. But I'm really relying a lot more on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing on the DOM. So what I hearing meaning like news and stuff. Like I want to have some sort of reason. And in this instance, this is probably one of the more technical trades that I think you're ever going to see me make. Because I don't really know why we've had such a big move up. All I know was that there was a lot of really big signs of exhaustion on that move up, and the liquidity behind us would be really weak. But I'm kind of, you can see I'm a little bit like I'm keeping a closer eye on it now, because in this 121 area might be an area where there might be more buying resting liquidity, just because it's been long enough and it's an even number and stuff like that. The upper left corner, yeah, it's the Vista chart. So the bright green shows you where large resting orders in the S&P 500 are. Oh, it's a chart of the S&P 500 futures, right? And then this line down at the bottom is cumulative delta. So overall, the okay, so I got my $10. That's all I was really looking for on that one. I may regret taking that off because you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see them push through this area of liquidity and then come kind of into the next little bit of a hole, right? But since it's kind of a counter trend trade, and I still don't really understand completely what's pushing it, and it's a purely technical trade, I've got to be a little bit more conservative, right? Still was I pretty good. I have a pretty good hit rate today, right? Both of them were great. I did have 4 ticks against me on that one, but not too bad. And then the one that I did in the treasury, I only had 3 ticks against me, but favorable 6. Although I have to say, I used to when I was really actively trading the 10-year itself, I was usually only wanted like 2 ticks against me max, or I would stop out. So, or 4. So I don't know. Okay, so they did get up there. I'm not getting a whole lot, but again, like, okay, so 121 is kind of a spot, right? 121 is kind of a spot where I'm going to be like, maybe I should have kept it, is if they get like below 30, right? So you might think, oh, well, he's just using the volume profile to say that, right? But it's not just the volume profile. Like I could use the volume profile to remember, but what I'm really doing is I'm saying there was a liquidity hole at 31 and 121 even. Like there was volume that traded there that kind of caused them to pull back briefly and so forth. And so I know that now that we had to move up, that might be an area where you might still see more liquidity. But then if they get below that, then you might have an area of lower liquidity again. And so they might slip through that. I don't know if that move is going to happen because it would be purely technical at this point, right? So I don't think that it really makes sense for me to try and take the risk on that. I got from here to here. That was good, right? But if it goes, I sure will be kicking myself, right? Even though I think I did the right thing. I'm just kind of putting that out there as a possibility. There's also a really strong possibility, though, that we kind of do there and then we maybe fill this area out a little bit and, you know, let all of this liquidity recover and fall into a hole around the 06 area, right? Because that's where there was the liquidity hole that kind of flipped us down to begin with that made us start to look for the trade. So would have been better. I could have taken it at like 665. That would have been a little bit better. And I might have gotten $20, but other than that, it's fine. I was also trying to be sneaky about it, right? I was afraid to put a limit order out there, and I felt like the market maybe had reacted to it, so I pulled it and then waited for it to come out to kind of hide my attentions a little bit. I think that I don't know if that sort of thing really makes a difference, but that's why I was doing all that. So trying to be sneaky. trying to throw you off. Well, what's the S&P 500 doing here? It looks like their ranges are consolidating at the moment. They were testing the ATR range stop, but that has been crossed like many, many times this morning. So that one's kind of the people trying to take the trend off of ATR stop will be very unhappy at the moment. And let's just reset our DOM here. Now, Goldman Sachs has extended their losses. They're now down 0.83%. So banks not taking it too well. That could all flip around tomorrow, though, because remember, Goldman Sachs is going to report tomorrow, and they've done really well in certain segments. So their perspective might be very, very different, right? Of course, it could also be like dismal and really bad, and the stock tank will be very sad, but. Well, after yapping a lot about how I traded, I don't know. I always go between this. Being ADHD is freaking hard, guys, because you'll have this idea in your head, like, well, maybe I should start to be like this, right? And a week from now, you're gonna forget about it, right? Sometimes I've been like, I really shouldn't say too much about how I trade. Doesn't really matter. And yet here I am. I take a good trade, and somebody's asking questions, so I tell them everything. So you better enjoy it, Kobayashi. So Lafta, when you were saying like you should add the charts, were you saying that just because you think that it would make the stream more accessible and people would be more willing to watch? Because you're probably right on that front, right? What I should do is like this. Yeah, make it the whole screen. Make it be like this. Yeah. And then add my indicator on there again, the opening range, because that's kind of fun. Where was it? Lizard. Oh, yeah, yes. This one. Okay. I should just. Here's the new stream. What do you guys think? What do you think? Oh, wait. Let's get rid of the tabs. Get rid of the tabs. Yeah, let's still yapping. There we go. There we go. Move that down just a tad. There we go. Okay, there's the new chart for the stream. What do you think? Yeah? Not bad? Not bad? Really simple. Super should be super what is the word? Accessible to people. Look, it's yes. Oh wait, can't we do this thing where like here, let me see here. Properties chart. Isn't there a way to put the name of the instrument in the background on Ninja Trader? Tabs always top panel vertical across text colors. Show background image maybe. No. Maybe there's something in data series. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it doesn't support it natively, but you can put it on there. I don't know, guys. I'm not seeing like millions of people come into the stream because I'm just only showing a chart. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Okay, here we go. Where's no. Tools. Import. Add on. My watermarks. The watermarks. It's taking a little while to import. Oh, you know what? My YouTube is not. Did I get? You know what? So my chat over here in OBS is not updating. Like my other chat over here is, and we actually have like less viewers than usual. Did we get throttled? Did somebody report us or something? There we go. Let's go search for him. Well, it shows me on the front page. No, I don't know. I don't know. You're just not amused by my antics, apparently. I don't know. I don't know why it's not showing that again. Oh no, wait. Maybe it is. Maybe it is showing it correctly. It was this one that was not updating. Never mind. I'm crazy. I'm just being stupid, guys. I'm crazy. Ignore all that. Indicators. Watermark. No, did he put it in a thing? Yeah, I think he did. I would think that it would be down here under watermark, but it's not. This is one of the things that I hate is like you add an indicator, right? And then you can't find it. Okay, so what do they call it? They called it my watermark. Oh, is it under my? If it's under my, oh my gosh, guys. Okay, wait. Yep, it's under my. It's under my. Okay, my watermarks, watermark capacity, blah blah blah. Oh hey, ooh hey, it totally works though. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's make it a little bit more like 4, 5. There you go. So do we really need that? You know, that might be confusing to newbies to see this big number afterwards. Can we change? Can we change it so that Watermark type. Instrument description. E-mini S&P 500 futures. Hey, that's not too bad. Let's just make the custom. Let's just do the custom text. ES. There we go. And let's make it super big, like 500. There you go. Okay, cool. Now we have a very friendly stream, don't you think? Do you think that the opening range indicator is maybe too much? Could be. I mean, there's all those colors that might be a little confusing to people, don't you think? It could be a little. I could see how it could be a little confusing to people. Hey, you know what? By the way, that trade that we made, if we had not taken profits where we did, we would be right back to where open. So, you see there, we're back to 2.67. Oh, yeah. Good call. Hey. You know what that was? That was the market said, "Oh, Seth bought. He must know something." So they moved, and then I got out, and since nothing else happened, they were like, "Well, maybe Seth's wrong," and they went back down. That's what happened. I'm the axe, folks. I actually really like that watermark thing. I might add that on more charts. Oh, except for that, you know what? It's to the front. Ooh, how do I fix that? Let's say shift. Okay, so this watermark is fundamentally flawed. It's fundamentally flawed. Wait. Maybe they've got something in it to fix it. Maybe there's some fix. Let's just sort of NinjaTrader watermark. NinjaTrader 8 watermark. Yes, there we go. You just open up all these threads because I think there might be. More than one person that has done it. Here's another one on the ecosystem. Here's one from ninja.co. I don't think I actually want to download that one because then they'll have my email address. Maybe what we need to do is we need to just create a background that says ES in black. And hopefully it does that correct. Actually, here, let's try this for a second. Properties. Is it funny I'm wasting all this time because I'm not... Oh, you know what? It's almost time for the stream to close. Well, chart, background, image. And we will choose a file. What should we use, guys? Ooh, I have the earth that comes with it. Apply. Lovely. Oh, it totally works. Totally works the way that we want to. I could make like a really cool background that'd be like speculator said, yes, S&P 500 futures. No. I could even like do some weirdo things so that like I can still see my main screen, but this is like on some imaginary fourth screen or something, or maybe I could just get a fourth screen. I don't know. I don't think any of you guys care, do you? Nope. Hey, you know what? We made some money today, so that's cool. We made $10. That puts me a little bit short of my goals, but I'm on a good run here. Actually, let's come and look at that real quick. Because we had like a really, really bad run, and I think that dug ourselves out of the hole. I think. So I think we started in September, right? Until April 15th. Lie. And then we only want to see the trades in the 10-year. Yes. Ah, yes, it is, in fact. Oh, actually, it's just a little bit. Still not quite, because we have this gap to do too. So we kind of got out of the big bad day, but not. We are getting some more comments from Bank of Canada, but I don't know. It was a very interesting day in the 10-year, don't you think? So we'll see where we go. Sorry, I'm a little. Well, I think that the stream actually did okay. It was just you kind of could tell when I gave up. when I took the trade off, a couple of people stopped watching. That's cool. Hey, tomorrow's going to be a very, very interesting day with the early holiday and everything. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe. Don't blow your accounts. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.